adding to the horror we showed you earlier this week, the way that these right-wing activists have been upping their attacks on aid convoys. You have a dire humanitarian situation there. I really encourage you. Ryan and Emily did a gut-wrenching interview with an American nurse who was trapped in a hospital in Khan Yunis and talking about the situation for her and her colleagues and for regular Palestinians. It's unimaginable. And you have these psychos who are protesting by blocking the little bit of aid, trying to block whatever aid is actually managing to make its way into the Gaza Strip, furthering what are already in portions of the Gaza Strip deemed to be famine conditions. The U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan actually responded to some of the latest settler attacks, the ones that we showed you on the show earlier this week. Let's take a listen to what Jake Sullivan had to say.
Since Israel took the Rafah crossing, we have seen difficulty getting aid through either Rafah or Kerem Shalom, and this is a matter of great concern to us. This is something we're working not just with the Israeli government, but the Egyptian government and the United Nations, because it will take all three of them working together to make this happen. This is an urgent and critical situation. We have got to get those crossings open to get more aid in. That has been an issue of the past 3 days since these military operations, and it's something we are working through with all the relevant parties. It is a total outrage that there are people who are attacking and looting these convoys coming from Jordan, going to Gaza to deliver humanitarian assistance. We are looking at the tools that we have to respond to this, and we are also raising our concerns at the highest level of the Israeli government, and it's something that we make no bones about. This is completely and utterly unacceptable.
So some tut-tutting there, yes, over the settlers. Yeah, tough words. I'm sure they're having difficult conversations behind the scenes, Saagar. They've raised with this with the highest levels of government. And since they're not willing to actually do anything, and even their little, slight pause on a weapons shipment was immediately overcome. Ryan and Emily covered. Now they're shipping another $1 billion in weapons. So their willingness to actually do anything about these things, obviously, we're not going to hold our breath. We got some more details from Haret. This was actually written up in Times of Israel. The reporting is from Haret about who these people are, who these right-wing activists are that are blocking these aid convoys. And in particular, we have direct reporting about collaboration with the Israeli government, which is no surprise because their official government policy has been a complete siege and have only allowed in a minimal amount of aid under pressure. Let's put this up on the screen. So first of all, the noteworthy thing from the convoy attacks and from these protests that we've been pointing to is oftentimes the police and military are standing by and doing absolutely nothing. So in the wake of this and after this caused this international upset, which is the focus of the headline here, Israeli police and the IDF, they traded blame. One said the police said the army was supposed to be guarding the trucks. The army said the incident fell under the police's jurisdiction. But the reality is they spoke to a senior security establishment official. That individual told Haaretz that, quote, police are turning a blind eye to the rioting of lawbreakers who loot and burn the aid, and also alleged they were receiving inside information regarding the movement of the trucks. So not only is a blind eye being turned, they're also getting information about where the trucks are going from government sources so that they can attack those aid convoys, loot and burn them, and assault the drivers too, by the way. The official went on to say some members of the police force avoid cracking down on the activists while others only reluctantly agree to tackle the issue. Quote, there is a feeling they're trying to please someone specific in the government, the official added, referring to National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, whose office oversees the police. So they're turning a blind eye, they're feeding them non-public information so that they can go and assault these aid convoys. And it's all because this is official Israeli government policy. I saw another report, another independent analysis. You know, we talked about the flower massacre, the idea of firing on Palestinians who were trying to get aid off of a truck and killing 100 of them. There have been 80-some Israeli Defense Force attacks on aid shipments, 80-some. So that was not an isolated incident. That is part of a pattern, and which you have to assume is an intentional policy from the Israeli government, because otherwise it wouldn't be happening some 80 times. They wouldn't be feeding this secret information. And then, the last thing I'll show you here is there was another attack on a Palestinian driver. We can put this up on the screen. This is very disturbing. You can see him there on the ground suffering. By the way, no one helping him. No one caring. There are soldiers right there doing nothing for him. You can see these settlers with giant weapons. And the reason they attacked this man, who happens to be a truck driver, a senior official says, oh, well, they beat him because they thought he was delivering aid. Think of the sickness of those, where they almost use it as an excuse. Well, you know, it was understandable that they aggressively assaulted this Palestinian truck driver because they thought he might be trying to feed starving people. Just grotesque.
Yeah, the whole thing is nuts, and it just shows you how little control that they, or not, okay, they either have control of the situation or they don't have control of the situation. Both are terrifying. We also wanted to give everybody an update on the pier, the military pier. Let's put this up there. Ken Klippenstein, friend of the show, can exclusively report. The Pentagon expects to have the Gaza aid pier in place as soon as the next 24 hours. Well, that has now been confirmed by the U.S. military. But then the question is how much aid is actually going to go in this? Like, what's happening? It will, quote, soon flow to Israel, soon flow. Remember, there's several questions here. Are Israeli troops going to pre-screen the aid that's going in? Are we going to make sure that our troops aren't attacked? The bill for this is some known $350 million, while there's perfectly good trucks sitting at the Rafah crossing, which we don't even have to pay for, and is waiting to go in. Our own producer, Mac, was flagging the possibility that they may then just shut all aid off that's coming in through a much more inefficient pier. Also happens to be that we have to pay for it and facilitate.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is a boondoggle where, you know, instead of exerting diplomatic pressure for them to just let aid that's already coming in, our troops are in harm's way, we're eating the cost. I cannot think of a better example of our policy towards Israel.
Complete insanity.
Yeah.
At the very best, this is a virtue signal. At the very best, it's an ass-covering, bullshit, expensive, dangerous virtue signal. At worst, it's much more nefarious because, remember, Bibi said, hey, maybe we can use this pier to help ship some of these Palestinians on here and achieve his goal of, quote unquote, thinning out the population. So at worst, we end up being complicit in the ethnic cleansing, not just complicit, but actively aiding and abetting the ethnic cleansing. Biden announced this in his State of the Union, acting like, oh, it's his idea because he's some great humanitarian. Well, reporting comes on after the fact. Oh, actually, this was Bibi's idea. This was Bibi's idea. So tell me what his intentions are for it. So that's number one. Number two, the U.S. has defunded and refuses to work with UNRWA, the number one aid organization actually on the ground. And even though it has now turned out that the allegations about UNRWA having Hamas terrorists, whatever, total and complete bullshit. The Israelis never provided a shred of evidence to back up those claims, which were used to defund this critical agency at a time when Palestinians are literally starving to death. So we're not working with UNRWA. So how is the aid getting distributed? No one has answered that. No one knows how to answer that. There's very little in the way of planning. And then third, to the point about this being very dangerous, Gaza is an active war zone, in case you don't know. And yeah, Hamas is still out there, and I don't think they love us too much right now. And by the way, while they were constructing this pier, there were actually attempted attacks in the area and, you know, directly aimed at our people that are constructing this pier. So total insanity. Comes at a time when the Rafah crossing, which has been the key entry point for aid, has been closed because of the Israeli invasion into Rafah. Another crossing was also closed. You have an increasingly dire situation. You know, the northern Gaza Strip was the place that was under the most duress and where, you know, UN officials had said officially famine had set in. Now the southern Gaza Strip is also approaching those level of conditions. We don't really know exactly the dire circumstances that they are facing there, but based on the report from the nurse on the ground and other things we are anecdotally getting out, it's a very bad situation because some of the key crossings have already been closed. So dire situation, and our solution is this utter and complete, dangerous, stupid, expensive nonsense.
Yep, there you go.
Just too perfect.
There is no, there's no, it's bottomless, just what we will suffer. The foolishness and humiliation on behalf of Israel. But
I do want to quick shout out to Ken. He just went independent.
Yeah, that's right. He's got his new newsletter. You guys should be a member.
Go subscribe, support him. He's a fantastic reporter. I mean, think about it. Here he is, independent journalist. This is a big scoop.
No, it's huge.
And he got it before New York Times, watch what any of these people, you know, Axios, CNN, he beat them to this big scoop, even as an independent journalist. He's got fantastic sources, really good, just an excellent job. So please give him a follow if you're able to.
There you go. All right. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for watching. As we said, premium subscribers, what day? Sunday. check your email. Big subscriber that is coming, big announcement that is coming to all of you. We love you. We have a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes. It's a big announcement exclusively for you, and we will see you all on Monday.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.